are, another episode of Chatting with Charlie, and today we're in conversation with this guy. I like to introduce people, Daniel, so I'll introduce you a little bit.
All right.
Daniel, I don't know too much about Daniel. We're going to learn a lot about Daniel in this episode, but I can tell you I've met Daniel within this network, which we'll elaborate on today in this chat, and really connecting with what I feel is the younger generation of workers, hustlers, if you want to call them that are focused on very specific skills that actually make money online. And Daniel, I feel personally, is in a very, very, very special position because Daniel's work, as we learn more about it and how more comprehensive it is than I understand it so far, is in content creation, which is the bedrock of generating any sort of attention. So this is an exciting one for me. Daniel, brother, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Daniel Williams, owner of Creation Gods. I'm 17 years old, and basically what I do is just help people with creating short form content for their personal brands. So everyone needs some sort of content to get attention, but there's so many people out there right now that aren't doing it properly. They don't know what actually gets people's attention, and in 5 to 10 years, this opportunity is going to be gone, and so many people are going to be missing out on it. So that's what I'm helping people with, because I know that people aren't taking advantage of it as best as they can, and I want to help people make the most money they can and grow their brands to the biggest that they can.
Absolutely. I find that there's an advantage being in your position at your age. How old are you right now?
17, yeah, 17.
I think there's an advantage that even becomes more of an advantage because most people think, what does a 17-year-old know?
Most people just in college doing nothing at all.
Exactly that. So give us an insight, Daniel, how someone in your position, a man at your age, creating content, how that actually gives you a competitive edge in comparison to where typically people think of, oh, I've got to go to a company that's been registered for 30 years. How is the new generation like yourself changing the game when it comes to marketing and content?
Well, I think my generation's going to change it a ton, because when you think about it, most people that are my age, they're just in college, they're just partying, doing nothing at all. They're just wasting their life away. But the people that are my age and they want to make progress, they want to get better in life and make money, these are the people that are actually really going to try and revolutionize. Like, these people are going to revolutionize the entire future, because these people are actually really going hard at it. And I've seen so many people like me making way bigger moves, making way more money. And I think in 20, 30, 40 years, the game's going to completely change. It's going to get way more competitive. It's going to get way harder to make money. And the people that don't start now, they're going to regret it later, because everyone that's getting college degrees and that sort of thing, they're not going to be able to make as much money as you could do with one like 5, 10 years ago. Now it's completely changing. It's all about the value you provide, not just going to college and getting a degree which isn't really going to help you at all. So that's something that I feel like my generation will have an advantage in. There'll be a lot of people that stay at the bottom, but there'll also be a lot of people that rise to the top as well. So yeah.
Bro, I've got such a strong vision, as you were saying. First of all, fire. The energy already, man. Fire, because I feel it, I know it, I see it. And if I can succeed in this episode with you, I want to be able to communicate it to the public, because we're going to change paradigms out here. And how I see it is those moving things at the airport that people stand on and they go like,
Yeah.
that's people in college. And
Yeah,
only if they're depending on college, and college is what's going to give me everything and all this kind of stuff. You're all going towards the same destination, you want the same targets, but you are on the outside just walking, going, what the fuck are you lot doing?
yeah. Yeah,
So
that's true.
do you find that you're actually thriving right now, knowing from college you're seeing all these other kids, dare I say kids, younger men that are not capitalizing in any fucking way at all? They're writing it off.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's just an excuse for procrastination, because there's all these people going to college. Do you really think they're outside of college, like trying to make money, trying to hustle and focus hard? No, because if they did, then they'd be doing it already. Of course, there's a few kids that might have a few side things going on, but their main excuse is, I'm going to college. I don't want to do anything else with my life. I'm just gonna keep going to college every day and keep showing up. And hopefully, if I do a little bit good in my exams, I'm going to be able to get a job to feed my family. But you're just setting yourselves up for the 9 to 5. You're not actually setting yourselves up for financial freedom. So if you actually want to start making moves, you have to start making them now. I was in college a few months ago, but I made that decision where I was like, I don't want to be in that situation where I just rely on it and it's my backup plan. I either go all in on business or I don't. So that's what I started doing. I went in on business and I actually left a few weeks ago. And now I'm just all full force going in, making money. And I think, in my opinion, there's no other choice, because there's so many people that just are sleeping all day and then they wake up and then they go to college and then they come back and then they're just miserable, and I don't want that at all. I think that's quite a sad life to live. So that's why I chose to do what I did.
Mm. Bro, where does that initial spark and inspiration and what you're describing? You've got foresight, which is a unfortunate lack in society. People can't see ahead. So where does that come from for you? Is that something you've always had, or is there something that sparked you to get this?
I'm not really sure what it is exactly, to be honest, but like I've always wanted freedom and to make money from when I was a young age. I remember even when I was like 9, 10 years old, and people asked me what I wanted to be when I was older, the thought of a job just like felt weird in my head. It was like, why would I want to be under someone else's control and someone else is just telling me everything to do? I was like, I'd want to have my own freedom, and I didn't know that I wanted to make a ton of money, but I knew that the only way to have a ton of freedom was to have a ton of money. So I was just like, I just want to make enough money, but also while having loads of money to be able to do whatever I want to do. So I feel like it's just something that has always been in me, sort of. I've never really wanted to be controlled by anyone else in that way, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, yeah, never wanting to be controlled by anyone else and really just providing for my family, really. Because when everyone else has been grown up to think that the only way is college or getting a job, then, you have to improvise and you have to actually be the one who stands up and takes action. Because if no one else is going to do it, then you have to do it. So that's also something that has helped me or motivated me to just keep going and keep pushing in business and making more money. That's a very big thing.
So you've turned basically seeing people around you that aren't doing what you feel is needed into motivation.
Yeah, because if you do it yourself and you prove to everyone else that you can do it, then they'll be like, oh, maybe he was right. Maybe he wasn't stupid when he was telling me all those things about how college is a scam. Because honestly, when you're in college and someone else who's in college is telling you it's a scam, you're just thinking like, bro, like what are you talking about? But now if you actually do it yourself, then you actually help and motivate all those people around you because now they've seen what you've done and they also want to do it as well. And in terms of the family side of things, if they don't want to do it, then you can still stand up and show them what is actually possible because they all think like, oh, you're thinking too much, you're thinking too big, it's not realistic. That's something that I've been told a lot. Like everyone tells me, oh, everything's like yes, you will get to where you want to be, but it's not realistic. You're gonna have to wait 2 years, 3 years. And I honestly think like if you know exactly what to do and you keep going, you could make huge success in 1 year. You could leave your job in 3 to 6 months if all you did was work, work, work. But everyone acts like, oh, the goal is to make millions in a year. The goal is to have freedom first. And then once you have the freedom, you now have all that time to do what you want to do and just scale up to the millions and make huge amounts of money. So everyone doesn't think about freedom and money in the correct way, I feel like.
I mean, you just said there millions, right? And to a lot of people, they're triggered by even that sum. But as I'm just certainly learning a lot more about money, wow, how much a million is not. It's not a massive sum. It's
Yeah,
actually,
that is very true.
I've understood now that there's a basically a repeating effect of life that manifests in every area everywhere. And online is another version of that. So veins are like tree branches and all this kind of stuff. So I see it as online There's all these branches. Each branch is an industry. Each industry generates, if not billions, hundreds of millions. How the fuck are we not able to just spend at least 6 months to just get our fair share of a bucket in those $100 million, if not $1 billion industries? It starts to become really, really feasible without even effort, Daniel. And tell me if you agree with this, that you could not try, really. You don't have to hustle and be super ambitious for millions, but you could easily make 50K, which is more than anyone would get from these college and university jobs.
Yeah, I agree with you because thing is, when people before they get into a business, they think to themselves, they're like, oh, I need to choose the business which has the most money. I need to like be people don't niche down at all. They're like, oh, I'm gonna take the whole ocean, you know. You shouldn't do that at all. You want to start with just a little bit of it, niche down like very, very specifically into one thing. And even if that market isn't that big, it's only 1, 2, 3 million. Even if you only get a little bit of that, that is way more money than you'd ever get from any other 9 to 5 job in this world. So that's something that you need to take into account because people just they they're too greedy when starting in business. They're like, oh, I want there's only reason in doing it if I take so much of it. But no, just take a little piece of it. Just hustle 6 months just to make a little bit of money, just 2 grand, 3 grand, 4 grand, and then once you have that money, now you have the time and freedom to scale up from there and actually plan out what you want to do. Because no business is going to last forever. So get one now, which is going to get you freedom and connections, and then once you have that freedom and connections, now you have money and you've bought yourself time to be able to transition into anything else that you want to do in the future. And that's another thing that I was thinking about. Reason a personal brand is so important is because if you grow a business super big, but nobody knows who you are, or you don't actually network or connect with people, then you're not going to be able to transition over into anything else because nobody knows who you are, and people don't actually want to connect with you on that deeper level and do business with you like that, you know?
Bro, what you're talking about, I feel I have a very strong understanding where it comes from. And of course, what you're saying is utterly true. But for someone that doesn't understand, someone that might be your age, younger, maybe even older, maybe there's some 30-year-old sat there going, what the fuck is this fucking 17-year-old talking about? What, where does this come from? Where does this information, because you're speaking wisdom, which comes from experience, where does this actually come for you?
I'd say finding out information like this, it's really just actually wanting to know something like it in the first place. Like, I'd say I got a lot of inspiration from like Andrew Tate watching him. Everyone was like, oh, like he's crazy. But when you actually go into deeper into what he's saying and into his message, then it leads down to a rabbit hole of just following other people who are doing the same thing. You connect with like-minded people, you network with them, you start wanting to digest even more information, you start searching up on YouTube, the internet. Everything is on the internet, but people just want to blind themselves and they don't actually want to go out there and find the information for themselves. And I think even if you're lost right now, let's say you're 15, 16, or you're 20 years old, for example, but you're just lost in life and you don't know how to make money or how it works, if you just sat down for a few days or a week and all you did was research money and everything about how it works, then you'd know way more than 99% of other people because they don't actually know what they're doing. And even if that sounds scary to you right now, like, oh, I'm gonna have to sit down for a few days, or what if I don't even know the right thing to type? What if I don't know this? What if I don't know that? Just do it first. You actually have to take the action. You have to sit down. Just sit down there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes right now. Set yourself a timer, open up a browser, just search up how to make money, watch some YouTube videos, and start doing it. Stop procrastinating, stop making excuses, and just go and do it, you know?
That's fire, bro. That's
Yes,
fire.
brother.
So, what I've done throughout my life, I'm 29 now, and I've only really started to laser in on one thing over, I'd say, the last 5 months. Now, the reason I didn't do that before is I am a particular individual that that leans in towards new stuff all the time. Like this is why I don't really have that money that is actually sat there waiting for me to my value and worth, because I've never quote chased it, or I've never actually put the work in to get the money. I've been more interested in the experiences. So I've gone and done all of this stuff that I've loved, that I've got so much experience from, I've got so much wisdom from, I've learned so much about people, the cause, the foundation of what builds everything. But it's only the last 5 months that I've learned if you spread yourself too thin, you of course won't get exactly where you need to go. And you said there, knuckle down, 6 months, just hustle. How comes you've got that now at this age, at 17?
I mean, in my personal opinion, it's not really about your age. Obviously, there's a certain barrier where, like, if you're 13, 14, it might be harder to make connections. But I think that's an excuse to push even harder because if you're younger and nobody wants to connect with you because I don't know, you might have a bit of a squeaky voice, nobody knows really who you are, then that's an excuse to, I mean, that's a motivation that you should use to your advantage to push and go even harder and show people how valuable you are. So I think it's a blessing in disguise because a lot of young people they're like, oh, it's way harder to make money out here. But honestly, people don't care about what you look like, how you sound. They only care about the value you provide. So if you're young, just go even harder at business. You have even more time, you have even more energy, more freedom. So I think that if you're young right now, there should be no excuse but to just lock in and just slowly start cutting off the bad habits. Everyone, the reason they fail is because they might start trying to make money for a few days, but then they might end up scrolling on TikTok for a few hours and now they feel guilty over themselves. So now they're just doing it even more and more and more. You should just slowly, slowly start cutting off the bad habits. And then once you've cut off all the bad habits, then all you can do now is the positive habits. So I think that's something that people need to take into account too, because people get taken off track very easily. So I think it's very important that you cut off all the bad habits first, and then you only focus on the good ones. And then once you're only doing the good ones, then just go full force at them. Just go hard at making money, researching it. And then once you found that one thing you like, that one niche that you want to stick into, just go full force at that for 3 months, 4 months. A lot of people also have shiny object syndrome. So they keep switching between things like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Obviously, if after like 1 or 2 weeks of doing something, you think this is a bad idea and there's genuinely no reason to continue doing it, then you should stop doing it. But once you found that thing, even if you think there's something slightly better out there, don't do it because even if it's 5, 10, 30% difference, even if it's even if you think it'd be 2 times better to do, just like don't do it. You only need a little bit of that market to make money in. And once you make yourself so valuable in that market, you're not replaceable anymore and people need you and you're always going to have some sort of money that you make.
There's so much wisdom in there, man. Honestly, for real. In what I can see from that, it portrays a pace. You can almost match like anyone out there that's making a lot of money, you can match because everyone's operating at that. And I don't know if you drink a lot of caffeine, but there's a lot fueled by caffeine in this money making game because everyone's moving fast, speed, making moves. But what isn't clear yet so far, which we can move into now, is someone's there going, all right, I've got to kick up the arse on this Daniel. He's making me think about what I'm doing now. How do people find to get going? How do they find the niche that they feel is going to be right for them? How do you know you're picking the right one?
So that's a harder one to say, obviously, because it's more personal to you and what you do. But what I'd say is a lot of people think, oh, I have to relearn and like a new entire skill. I have to go out there and research this niche for hundreds of hours. And that's what I used to think as well. I used to think, oh, like I want to learn all this crypto stuff. I don't know anything about crypto. I'm gonna have to fully get into it, learn all of this. But I was like, you know what? I've already made videos before. I know how to go viral because I've gone viral before on TikTok, posting clips for other people. And I'm thinking, you know what? What's the point of me switching to something completely different? So what I'd say to do is if you already have something that you're doing, or there's something in the past that you've done which you feel like you've gained a lot of knowledge from, tap into that and just go into a niche to do with that, and just stick like research everything to do with that niche for a few months, see how you can make money in it, and then just start connecting, networking with other people, and just hustle down on that one thing and find a way to make money from it, to monetize it. And then yeah, then that's how you really find your niche. But if you don't have any skills at all, like let's say you're 14 years old and all you've done is watch Netflix and eat McDonald's your whole life, then what I would do is I'd say just start researching it, see what you think you'd enjoy, see what appeals to you, and just stick at it for a few months. And you're not going to make any money at all, by the way. I mean, you might make a little bit of money, but if you have no previous experience at all, then there's a lot of other things that you don't have experience in, which won't allow you to make money, because people want to buy from someone who knows what they're doing. People want to work with the top of the top for the cheapest. That's what everyone wants to do. So you're not going to make any money at the start, but you just have to research for months and months and just find one thing that appeals to you. And it's going to take a while, and it's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of mental effort. But once you've found that one thing after looking for weeks or months, then you're going to thank yourself later, because you just saved yourself all that time that you would have ended up having to use in the future anyway if you decided not to do it. So that's something I'd recommend.
And I'm really glad that you brought that up, because when you see a viral clip on TikTok, for example, the imagination is sparked of like, say, for example, you did that first clip, first video, and it just happened to go viral.
Yeah.
Well, no matter who's seeing that, they're going, everyone subjectively, they're going, oh, this must be, they really know what they're doing, or this is something that they've been doing for a while, or all of that stuff that comes to your mind. But the key for me of what I would love to convey more in these episodes, which is why I'm doing them, is you said something very powerful, which is do not expect to make money right away, because there's a chain. And for me, this is where I feel like I can add to it, where I haven't made a load of viral content. I haven't made a load of cash or a load of attention in one niche, but I've got this experience with business. I understand what the process and back end needs to look like for you to even be taken seriously, for you to build up credibility, to have a portfolio, so your demand goes up, and then therefore you can charge the higher ticket fees for your service, because you've done it starting at really cheap rates, if not for free to begin with. And what's exciting for me, Daniel, is that someone such as myself that's in a lot of positions to get the work, that can bridge the work, that can negotiate the business and go in with my mind of like, I know what this is worth, I know what this is valued at, but then sublet that work to you by working in a network where we both earn in a way that I don't know what I'm doing with short content creation. And if it hasn't become clear in this episode, Daniel right now is niching down on short video content, which I'll ask him more about in a second. But how we work together by delegating is going, Daniel, if you can sit in your room, man, and make these videos. And one thing Daniel gave me an insight to, you could even call it an invoice for, as a template for work, was a video that comes out on TikTok every day, which actually came after me going, oh, probably one video a week, something like that. And Daniel was like, one a day, TikTok, boom, 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 boom. That shows to me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I do know how to find the people, how to find the clients, how I'm involved with the projects, how to run a business back end, how to do contracts, how to create agreements, and how to be firm with what the value is. So by merging that, I'm the guy that serves the client, but Daniel's in the back end doing the work, making the money. That's just one example of how you don't need to know everything, but if you're around the right people, man, you can make money and you can get started. So
Yeah, that's
tell us.
very true. So in my opinion, the one video a day, that's just like bare minimum to me. Because you said one a week, and I was like, if you're posting one a week, the person who's posting one a day is just gonna absolutely crush you. And one a day, in my opinion, is bare minimum. If you want like super rapid growth, I'd say even like 4 to 6 videos a day. But a big mistake people are making is the quality of their videos are really bad. They just think that if they just talk like random stuff, it's gonna get views. No, it's not. It has to be very how should I say it? Like it has to be articulated in a very, very specific way, which connects to your viewer and it hits their pain points as well. It's something that makes people want to watch further. So once you've actually got the quality down and you know what you're saying, I think 4 to 6 videos a day is the best way to go if you know what you're doing. But in terms of the point that you're talking about earlier, like within like how to start making money with the skill you have, is everyone needs to start off for free, or everyone needs to start off doing something for very, very cheap first, because everyone wants to work with people who've already accomplished that thing before. If it's very clearly seen that they've gotten this person from X result to Y result, and now they're making way more money, they're way more successful, then obviously they're way more likely to work with you because they've seen it actually happen. And especially coming into the next few years, a lot of people are all talk, and it's going to be a lot of copywriting, a lot of sales. People don't know what's BS or not. Whereas if you actually prove that you've helped other people in the past, they're way more likely to want to work with you. So right now, if you have a really valuable skill but you're not making any money from it, just outreach to everyone in your niche and offer to do it your skill for them for free, or break even with it if it does cost money to do it for them. And then start getting the testimonials, start getting the people shouting you out, start networking with those people. And if your skill is actually valuable and it actually makes them more money, then you're going to have that leverage over them because now they never want to leave you. So once you start making them more money, if you're actually confident in what you're doing and you know that you're going to do that, then once you do start making them more money, then you can just go to them and say, hey, I can't continue anymore with you because I want to focus on bigger things. And if they respect you and they like you and they actually like your work, then they'll be like, hey, man, I'll start giving you some money for it. So that's something that you can do as well. Lots of people think, oh, the free work isn't going to pay off. It's not going to give me any sort of money. But honestly, if you're actually good at your skill and it is genuinely valuable, then even if you offer work for people for free, they're going to be scared to lose you because you're so good at what you do. So that's something as well. When you're making money with business, you just have to focus on being as good as you can, because so many people are doing all this sales bullshit, all this copywriting bullshit, or it's this good, it's that good. Whereas if you're not actually good, you're not going to get that actual reputation and actually have that real value that people want.
Damn right. When you're speaking it as well, something you said there, which was, like they won't want to lose you. You'll basically prove to them that you're worth your value. But you gave an example of someone that didn't really believe off the off go, like, oh, if I do it for free, then it's not really going to work out for me. Well, you've lost already.
Yeah, that's true.
A key for me is to shift the mindset to go, where do I want to be? What do I need to do to get there? And when you recognize that the process is the only thing that matters in that case, I need to go through the process, then it's great if you get some money, but starting off, picking up the momentum to start off with, if you've got a problem with doing it for free, then no one's going to fucking take you seriously.
Yeah,
Especially
exactly.
if you're starting off, like if someone really knows what they're talking about and they're paying, and someone's going in and they're just guessing prices, you'll get found out. And you can feel that, don't you think, Daniel? Like, think about outreach in
Yeah.
DMs. You can feel that from someone's DM.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about it. When you're outreaching to someone, imagine that you're that person that's opening the message and they open up your profile and there's zero work, there's zero posts. The person, I mean, I wouldn't say followers are huge, but let's say they had like 5 followers, for example. You'd be like, who is this guy? Like, just like, even if the person had some decent work on there that they sent to you, you'd still think, oh, like, there's no point of continuing. So you need to really think from the person's perspective. You need to be like, okay, I need to make myself look professional. I need to showcase how I can get them from their current state to their desired outcome. as best as possible. You need to show proof that you've done that before. You need to talk about your expertise so people trust you and they can see that you actually know what you're talking about. And like I said, like even once you've gotten social proof, it can still be hard to get clients. Like sometimes if you have all the social proof in the world, it can still be hard to get clients. And it's going to be even harder when you're starting out and you don't have any clients at all because they know that you haven't done it in the past. So you have to start somewhere and outreach for free. And if your skill is actually valuable and people can see that that you know what you're talking about and that you might have done it for yourself or someone before, then why wouldn't they want it for free? It's free value. So you just have to focus on giving out that free value, and then you'll end up getting value back, and then you'll end up growing more and more, connecting, networking with more people, and then you just start making more money. But a big thing that people do is after they've made the money, they take their foot off the pedal and they start getting lazy. They're like, oh, okay, I've got all these clients now. I don't need to work anymore. That's when you have to start pushing harder because that's when you're actually really going to scale. That's when you have to lock down and be like, okay, I am making good money, but I'm going to lose this eventually if I don't keep going harder and learning more and connecting with more people. So once you have all that social proof, you're going to waste it if you don't actually work hard from there. Some people just get lazy. They're like, oh, okay, I'm making decent money. But that's not the mindset you should have because you're going to lose it very soon if you think like that. When you're actually in the position you want to be, what you have to do is just lock down, go even harder for another 6 months, and then you'll come out and you'll be the richest you've ever been in your life. And you would have thanked yourself 6 months later.
Mm. Yeah, to build on that, I feel another vision that comes to my mind is moving a car if you're pushing it, right? It's very,
Yeah.
very hard. You have to like rock it a little bit, and then you start to get momentum on it. And say you get up to a speed, you're like, it's going now. The moment you actually stop, eventually that's going to slow down and it's going to stop.
Yeah, exactly.
So the key thing for the human mind is always to be stimulated in new ways, is to feel inspired and quote motivated by what they're doing. But what people lack is the addition to that. So you get 6 months in, you're flowing with good momentum. You got to a point where you feel like you've succeeded for what you wanted to do. But life is long. This is a long game. And to
Yeah.
scale and to sustain, what comes in there is if you cannot find yourself with the same energy and inspiration to continue to do the work as you've done, now you get another individual that started off where you started off, get them to kind of work into the business that you've started 6 months prior.
Yeah.
You move up the ladder, you move up the chain of the process where you can start to delegate and build staff and teams.
Yep.
The model's simple. You look at any business that's on scale, Amazon, right? There's hundreds, if not millions, of factory workers that are working in warehouses fulfilling orders. Like those guys aren't the initial minds that have built Amazon, but
Yeah.
the initial minds that built Amazon started off as those minds to some extent. There's always a chain of progress. And if people can see that, sustainability is always going to happen because you understand how to sustain your ability, how to
Yeah.
keep moving. And I think key for me, Daniel, is that when you realize you've got to a point where you're like, I feel like I need to move on, you know how to. That's the key for
Yeah.
me because there's plateaus. And if you hit a plateau and you start to deplete, unless you've got something that will never go out of fashion, like food or something like that, people will forget about you. You'll be a
Yeah.
trend rather than something that lasts forever. So, what would you say? What would you say is, from an industry standpoint, is something that people will always need, something that's always going to generate money? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, there's the basic things. So like there's the needs like that people need, like the things that people always want. So for example, like stuff like food, like just common sense things that people need all the time. But other than that, no business really lasts forever. They're probably creating short form content for people. There will still be something probably in 50 years like that, but it's gonna everything's gonna change. Like everything's gonna completely change. Like, do you think the Hustlers University that Andrew Tate has right now, do you think in 30, 40, 50 years it's going to be at the same growth and level as it is now? It might become a lot better, but like one day it might just shut down. People might just stop really needing it, like because the information might just it'll become so widespread.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, everything ends one day, every single business is gonna end one day. But when getting into it, I think you should think, is it still gonna be possible to do this in 5, 10 years? Because there's lots of people that are starting businesses right now, and they're not thinking about the long-term goal. There's a lot of people doing drop shipping now, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna open a store and I'm gonna sell a squidgy teddy bear for 10.99, and I hope to get 100 sales. Yeah, it's nice to make the big amount of money there, but you're never gonna build like a real business off that, just selling like stupid stuff from China, Yeah, you can make good money from it, but I feel like most people getting into that right now are wasting their time, because you could make a lot more money in the long run if you had committed all that time to learning a different skill, which is going to make you money in 5, 10 years. You opening an ecom store now isn't going to make you money in 5 or 10 years. And I'm not saying that ecom's bad and that everyone shouldn't do it. I think it's very good if you know what you're doing and you know how to run ads, you know how to market, you know how to do all that sort of stuff. But if you're just starting or you don't have much experience at all, I feel like it's a waste of time, because someone else who knows way more than you, they're just gonna crush you because they have the experience to be able to transition it from store to store to store. Whereas when you're starting, it's more of a luck game. Whereas, oh, this one product might do good, but it's not always gonna do good. That's the thing with ecom. People uh are opening stores which are only gonna last like maybe 1 month. They're just hopping on trends. They're not actually opening something that's going to make them a lot of money, like in the future to come.
I think what you're bringing up there as well is, so to add scale, that adds more of a broader scope to what actually it is, because yeah, you can sustain, but it won't look the same. It will change. So sustainability is really, let's bring it back down to this, Daniel. Like, ultimately the business is external. It's just something that you're doing to make money. You're making
Yeah,
money if you've got some service or value to offer. So wouldn't then the formula and the key really be, make sure you've always got value to offer in the current time that's adaptable to the climate of whatever's going on?
yeah,
How do people build that? How do they build that internal value, that skill, to always be able to do something better than someone else will, or do something and put yourself in a situation where someone will pay for it, and really be what anything I'm paying for, take my money. Like, I have my money, I want that thing. I don't want to do it myself.
yeah.
How do people make sure that where their true focus is not in the external material part of it, but the inner core mission that drives it, which is being able to provide value to people at any point?
I'd say that just comes down to your network and being around other people who are doing the same thing. Because think about it, if you're on, let's say you're focusing on one thing and you're just by yourself, then you're only gonna know. Let's say in within 1 month you make 5 mistakes, then you're only going to be able to have the knowledge of fixing those 5 mistakes. Whereas if you're in a network with 100 other people that have made thousands of mistakes and they all tell you their mistakes, then you're going to basically download all of those mistakes into your system. And now you're going to prevent yourself from doing all of those in the future. And you're going to be way ahead of people, and now you're going to have that knowledge in your head of what to do when starting a new store or you're providing something else in the market of value, because that's something that's very key. Because a lot of people, when they're getting into business, they don't have much value to provide, so that's why you have to focus on just providing as much value as you can. But once you've got to that level where you just have so much experience and knowledge, then you can basically just do it 100 times again. All these millionaires, like some agency owners like Iman Gadzi, for example, if he went broke today because he knows everything about agencies, he'd be able to make a 10K a month agency in 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, very quickly because they have that knowledge. So I'd say be able to know how to provide value into different markets is really just having a big network and just knowing what to avoid and having all that experience in the past of what you know works and what doesn't work. Because a lot of people deal with a lot of bullshit in their head. They're like, they think, oh, I need to make my website color 1% better. I need to do this, that. Like everyone's focused on the wrong things. So I'd say it's just having a big network and just having a lot of experience, just avoiding the mistakes and just providing more value, just learning more about the skill and getting better at actually providing that value to other people.
Bars, bro. Bars. This brings me into this interesting part that I'd love to highlight, which is you said, I believe, 4 times network, right? In
Yeah.
that flow. People that people that are feeling something from what you're saying, they're feeling it. They're sat there, they're going, something about this is what I want to do. But the language isn't necessarily so intuitive to them yet, or at least comprehensible. So what's the difference between a network and a friend group?
I'd say a network is like it's like a massive group of people that are just, they're all trying to help each other and they're all trying to rise to the top. Whereas within your friend group, I'd say it's more loyal. You can trust people better, and that can be a very big advantage when running a business. But I'd say when you're in a friend group, yeah, obviously you want to become all successful together, but you also have to be careful with what friend groups you choose. Because obviously, if you're in like a bad friend group and they're just out like drinking all the time, doing stupid stuff, then you're going to end up falling into that and falling back on it. But if your friend group is good, then what I'd say the difference between a friend group and a network is just a ton of people just helping each other get to their desired outcome. They can give each other a ton of value. They can help each other all with the mistakes, and a network is extremely powerful. But in terms of a friend group, I'd say a friend group is better if what you're doing requires trust and you need someone loyal by your side and you think it'd be useful having someone on your team to help you grow, because you have to be careful if you trust out there. And if you were to just trust some like random person in a network group that you didn't really know that well, obviously it can be good sometimes, but you're more likely to fall down a rabbit hole of something bad happening to you. Whereas if you have a friend group, I'd say that's more for the loyal side of things, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna send you this big payment, or you're gonna help me handle payments, or we're gonna join together and we're gonna run this business together. You're not gonna scam me. You're not gonna talk behind my back. You're not gonna do anything bad to me. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between a friendship and a network.
So from what you said, a network is people that are all driven towards the same targets essentially, and
Yeah,
they all want to help each other in some way, exchange value, offer products, services, whatever's needed. You're in a network, a net, the internet, a fishing net, like you're all in one place, you're all connected, and you're working.
yeah,
A friend group is more for people that aren't working, but you do in your life have a relationship with that can help and assist you.
yeah,
What I'm finding out more and more, and I've had this in my own experiences and stuff, but people are having difficulty in their friend groups because not only are their friends not able to work at the same rate or do the same thing, but often a lot of them, often a lot of them become almost like sour or bitter for someone that is actually trying to do something different to what they're doing. Have you experienced that yourself at all?
no, I haven't experienced that, but I do know a lot of people that do deal with that, and that can pull you back. So that's why, like I said in the first place, you need to be careful with the friend group you choose. Because if your friend group is they're going out, they're drinking, they're just wasting all their time, then when they see someone else in their friend group doing something different, even if they know what they're doing isn't the best, they want to feel better about themselves. So they want to drag you back into what they're doing. And then gonna be like, oh, what you're doing is a bit stupid, or like it's failed for a ton of other people. The only thing that it can do for you is harm you. It's not going to benefit you at all, what they tell you. But yet they'll just tell you all the negatives. And you don't need to hear those negatives because you already know those negatives are true. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going into what you're doing, because the only reason you started doing it in the first place is because you know it's possible. But if you're just gonna listen to them and you're actually gonna end up doing what they tell you to do, that's just putting you in an even worse state, because they're only reminding you of the disadvantages and the bad things. Whereas you want to be hearing the positive things. You want to be around the people that are doing similar things, but like, yeah, man, that's perfect. That's really smart. So yeah, like I said there, just avoid the bad friendships, because those are the people that are going to drag you down. You don't want to be around people that are bitter or sad. You want to be around people who want to see you do better. If you start succeeding more and you see one of your friends starts to act bitter or not like you, then they weren't real from the first place. Because in my opinion, like, if there was someone I knew from when I was young and they started making big moves, I'd be like, wow, well done, man. Like, I respect that. That's really good what you did. Whereas some people, when they see other people making big moves, they feel guilty in themselves because they're like, oh, damn, he managed to accomplish the dream that I never went out to go and get. So they're going to try and, they want to cover up their own actions by telling you that what you're doing isn't good for them. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's something key as well. I'd just say just ignore those people, and you have to cut them out your life straight away, because the only thing that can happen is that you go down from there. You either go down and or you cut them off and you go up, you know?
Mm.
So that's key.
I know you said there that you didn't really have too much experience being able to relate to it, but you hear about these other stories. But do you have a story yourself, Daniel? Like a moment in your life, a cool story to tell that like makes you feel good, that helps you recognize. And this is what I really want to isolate if you've got a story for it. A moment where you were reminded that I am doing the right thing. I am making the right moves. I know I'm in the right place. Have you got anything that comes to your mind?
I probably do have some stories in my mind, but they're just like they're not fresh right now in my head. But if anything like that comes across like the rest of the podcast, I'll bring it up.
Mm. I think that's a very special moment. You can relate to it though, right? The moment,
Yeah, yeah.
that moment when you're. So we can segue into this for a moment, right? We're both in a group called New Money. For those that don't know, Daniel, tell people what New Money is.
So basically, New Money is a network of like I think 820 people now, and they all wanna. It's a network, and everyone wants to make money in there. There's a ton of different rooms in there. They can teach you stuff about sales. There's like you can connect with other people, network with other people. There's a traveling channel. You can hit up other people, and I genuinely think like it's super powerful because you can network with other people inside of that group, talk to people, and you can learn way more. And you can find the other people that are doing the same thing as you, and you can level up, and you can also work with other people that need what you're doing as well. So that's what I know about New Money right now. But what else do you know about New Money, which I didn't touch on?
Tell you what, since I've joined New Money, I've moved to Hawaii and I'm living here. I'm living the fucking dream, bro.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
living the dream. No, but for real, there was a moment. My story in that sense would be, and there's many moments in my life, but I decided after being kicked up the arse by Andrew Tate, he literally found his way, knocked on my door, and went, Charlie, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Kicked me in the arse. And I was like, fuck, I've got to get my finances sorted. There's nothing I can do. I was reminded there is fuck all more I can do. I had, quote, like managed to get really good at all these other areas of life, right? Health, mentally, physically, spiritually, somewhat understanding relationships, exiting out the matrix, being able to flow. Basically, I live in flow, like all day flow, doing what I do, practice all my arts. However, every single Christmas, I'd be like, I haven't necessarily fucking got my finances any better. Why is this happening? And Andrew Tate come out, gave me a kick up the ass. Long story short, I'm ready to take action. I'm ready to. This is a key thing. If you want to start to make money, you have to be willing to fucking spend it and understand a bit of perspective of you go to university and you do spend 40, 50 grand. If you cannot spend, this is so true. And I'm parroting what Tate or anyone in this position would say. If you cannot afford to pay millionaires or a millionaire what is equivalently 2 takeaways a month, right? You are a fucking idiot and you deserve to be poor.
Yeah.
And when I got in there, I got into Hustlers University, which is now the real world. It gave me the initial start to go, all right, I'm just going to focus on here. I'm going to live this differently. I'm going to listen to what these guys are saying. A lot of it is reminders of what I already knew, just narrowed down into a focus. And key thing for me, I removed tons of distractions. I was a guy that poured out loads of energy into loads of different places. Now I'm lasered. But new money, when I first got in there, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what Hassan was talking about. He was tweeting. It was pissing me off. I was like, who the fuck's this guy, man? What's he talking about? And DM'd him and I said, what's this thing? Like, what the fuck is this? I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. And he told me. I was like, let me sign up. Right. So I paid, coughed up. And a couple days in, I see that Arno, I don't know if you know Arno,
Yeah,
Wigan.
Arno.
He
Yeah.
was in the one of the channels, and I was like, I am in the fucking right place right now. For real. I'm listening to Arno before I go to bed. I join a group that I paid to get involved in, and Arno's in the group. I'm like, there's a moment here, because sometimes when you're working really, really hard, and this is a key thing that I want to express to people, you can graft your bollocks off and feel like you're not getting anywhere. But don't stop, because you're just in a period where you're not getting reward from it in
That's
some
very
way.
true.
So, bruv, that moment for me was my story of the most recent one of going, this feels good. I'm in the right place. And a key thing for me, Daniel, I'm sure you can relate to this. I'm in a bit of a different position with more years and an intense background. You was talking about your spiritual relationships with Christianity and stuff like that. But me, I didn't come from that. I come from a very, very toxic place. So I am always on edge that someone's going to rip the shit out of me. They're going to just take the piss out of me. And I got into new money somewhat still subliminally, subconsciously expecting that. But how wrong I was. You know, people are honest. They'll be true and real with you. Some of them will just say it in animated ways, but everyone cares for your best interest.
Yeah.
Don't you find?
Yeah, that's true. Because the people, like you said, like it does feel like people want to take from you and rip you out, but the world is competitive. That is true because people only want to be the best and people want to be better than other people. So that's a very big thing. Like, but when you network with other people who are on the same mission, then people will see how you can best help them and how they can best help you. And when there's so many people in a group and there's so many potential opportunities, you're gonna end up finding one that's gonna pay off and benefit you loads.
Mm. Yeah, it all comes down to one thing, man. Like, I personally take this from you, Daniel, is this, you know, if you want to score a bullseye on the darts board, you need to hit the bullseye,
Yeah,
right? You can't go hit a free and go, does that count? It's like you need to land exactly where you're looking to land, and nothing else can be a focus. So
yeah,
for someone that can't actually focus, for someone, something you also said was coming off track earlier, to add to that, a distraction is a dissonance to the direction or the harmony that you want to be in. So you're distracted by something. It could be food, could be girls, it could be sport, it could be fucking bullshit on TV, could be relationships. It's going to be something that has fuck all to do with where you want to go. It
Yeah.
has got fuck all to do with where you want to go. Why are you eating fucking Dominoes and you're looking and talking about getting a summer body, right? It
Yeah.
does not look like where you want to go. So, what advice do you have for people that struggle to focus and get distracted easily?
I'd say it's really just taking the first step. Like so many people overthink and they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna eat bad for a little bit longer and then I'll start doing it. Like that's the reason why so many people don't succeed because they're still living in that moment where in the present they're doing the thing they're not meant to be doing. So if you train yourself to think that way, then you're going to keep doing it in the future. You're not going to stop because it's easy to think in your head that in the present of the future you're not going to do something because it doesn't feel like it takes much mental effort. But when you're actually in that moment, that's when it requires the mental effort of being like, no, I can't do this. I have to I have to stop myself from doing it. So you're not going to be able to stop yourself from doing something in the future if you don't train yourself to stop doing it in the present. So that's why when I want to stop doing something, I just stop doing it immediately because I know if I keep doing it, then I'm just going to get used to doing that thing even more and more and more. So you have to train yourself in the present to right before you eat something bad or buy something that you're not meant to buy. Just think to yourself, be like, no, I'm not gonna do this. And even though I really, really want to do it, I'm not gonna do it. Because now that you've done that and you've experienced that in the present, you're now not gonna want to do that in the future because you were like, okay, I did that before. Now I can do it again. And now I'm gonna do it again and again and again. And obviously there'll be times where you really, really want to do it. But those are the challenges, and that's what makes you stronger, and that's what makes you even better. So if you want to start doing something in your life right now, you want to start making more money, you want to start getting in better shape, just start doing it now. You don't have to go full force, but like I said earlier, just slowly start cutting off the distractions, the bad habits, the things that aren't serving you, and just slowly transition your way into it. Ideally, it's best to do it as fast as you can, but let's say like like all you eat is unhealthy food right now, then you need to slowly start cutting unhealthy foods out. Because if you completely cut all unhealthy foods out and then you start eating good for a little bit, but then you have one bad thing, then you're just gonna start eating a ton of bad things, you know? You have to slowly cut it down and then you start eating completely clean. And then when you have one bad thing, you won't feel as bad, but you're not gonna have one bad thing. You're gonna stick to the goal. You're only gonna be go pushing into that one direction that you want to be in. So yeah, that's something big for actually not procrastinating and doing what you want to do.
Hmm. Yeah, what I want to do now is kind of come to a different vibration, come to a different vibe, start to close out the podcast. But just to add on that part, is there an emotion that you find helps you with that? Meaning, give you an example of me, right? If I'm pissed off, that is tremendously helpful for me to change. You know, if I don't, for example, want to get mucus that comes through me all the time, and I'm like spitting out all this mucus all the time, then I've got to get pissed off enough of feeling that to go, I'm not going to eat dairy, I'm not going to eat gluten, which I found that are triggers for me, right?
Mm.
Being pissed off also made me join this group. Being pissed off has also made me go, fuck anything else until I'm fucking rich right now. So, is there an energy or an emotion that you lean on that helps you?
I'd say it's probably stress because let's say you're hungry and you have no food, you're gonna want to go out there and get more food. It's the same thing with money. If you don't have any money, then you're gonna want to go out there and get even more money. And but once you're in the comfortable position, you now have to train yourself and to think, what is my why? Like, why am I actually doing this? Why? And then from there, you slowly start learning more about yourself. And then you can just tap into those things and keep going full force. Because let's say you had no money at all and you'd be like, I need to make money, I need to make money, and everyone's telling you that you're not going to make money, then you're going to get pissed off and you're going to get stressed. So it's going to be the only thing that's on your mind. But even though the goal's 5K, let's say you're still on 2K, but you've made a little bit of money, you've made a bit of success. Some people there, they just stop and they just be like, okay, I've made a little bit of money. I managed to prove myself. I'm not as stressed anymore because I have enough money to pay the bills. But from there, you have to rethink to yourself, because even though you may not be as stressed, you have to rethink your why. You have to be like, okay, why am I doing this? Am I doing it for my family? Do I want to help more people out? Then you need to tap into that and think, okay, I need to help more people. I want to help the people around me. I want to be able to provide for myself and my family. I want to show people how capable I am. And then from there, you just have to tap into those things and think, I wouldn't want to be any other way, because being any other way would just be sad to me and my future, you know?
Mm, beautiful, man. I really appreciate the way you articulate, you say it with speed. You know, you're almost coming off the back end of, you said there, like I was talking about being pissed off, you was talking about, it's hard to define that as one emotion, but it's like
Yeah.
it's like a state of mind that you're talking about. But does that come with, leading on to this question, does that come with a target that you have over, let's say, for example, over the course of this year? Where will Daniel be at the end of it?
Over the course of this next year, I'd say really my goal is just to be at a point where I'm making so much money that I don't have to worry about anything. And obviously, that is quite vague. Like, people don't know the exact amount, but sometimes I say to myself, "Oh, it'd be cool if I was making 20K, 30K, 50K a month." And I know I'm gonna reach there, but honestly, the main thing is just freedom. Even if I had 10 grand a month, I'd be happy with that. But then I have to remind myself of why I'm doing it. And then I'd end up scaling to 20, then 30, then 50. I'd end up reaching 50, then 100. It's just slowly leveling up. And I wouldn't really say there's a main one goal, because nobody really goes into business being like, oh, like when you have no money, oh, I'm gonna make a million, 10 million. When you have that mindset when you're starting, you're just gonna fail, because when you don't have a million or 10 million, you're just gonna stop. So I'd say really the main goal is just to start having more freedom, start making even more and more money slowly, start getting those invoices in, and then just see what I can do to make more and more money. And then, yeah, from there, I'll just end up scaling and growing and making even more money. So, yeah, there's no necessarily goal, but the main goal is just freedom. That's the main goal.
Before I give you the last floor to plug the shit out of what you're doing, what it really is that you can bridge to people looking to grow, let me say this. Everything you just said there, at any single point, if you feel like there's something I can serve with, come and reach to me, because I feel a lot of it is able to go, like when you're talking the numbers, to stay, like all the components when you join them together, the mindset to not get comfortable. Any single way that we can work with each other will be a very powerful thing, man, because I don't
Yeah,
believe in an end. You
yeah,
know,
that's true.
I'm seeing ahead of this life.
Yeah,
It's like, what am I setting up for my next life? Like, let me squeeze everything from this one. And I don't believe in happiness. I don't believe in it as this thing that you get. I believe in states of vibration that you feel, and people describe sometimes as happy. But I think that happiness is a result of being able to feel whatever you want to feel and do what you want to do.
yeah, that's so
Freedom.
true.
So, yeah, man, if anything comes up as a bridging opportunity, as me and we're already talking about, lean on me, bro.
Yeah,
And
I
I
will
will
do.
lean on you, because how we get to those goals doesn't happen alone.
Yeah,
And it also is nice to know that without trying, the right people appear. You can outreach all day, but the ones you actually do the work with appear.
yeah,
Oh, serendipitously we was in the same group and blah blah blah.
yeah,
The outreaching is great, it teaches you, but the real ones that are there along the way the whole time, they're different.
yeah,
And
that's true.
I respect you, bro. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to come for both of us this year. So, without further ado, this is your opportunity now. This has been a very good call. I'm going to take a breath because it's been fast paced, but I've had to keep up with you at certain points.
Yeah.
So, in this last point, sell your service.
Yeah, so if you're trying to become the next Andrew Tate, or you're just trying to get famous on social media, you have a personal brand, you don't really know what you're doing, you don't know where to start. I know everything about that. Just hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is danielwilliams.cg, and the agency I run is Creation Gods. You can find more about it on creationgods.com. And basically, what I do is I do everything from the moment you record your video to the moment it's posted. So a lot of people are just doing the video editing, but not only is my video editing the best in the game, it also actually gets you the results because I help you talk about I help you on what to say, on how you say it, the hooks, how to get those people, how to get people's attention, how to reel them in. And yeah, I just do everything from the recording side of things to editing it and then posting it, getting it the most amount of views. I have a lot of knowledge on the algorithm, how to get the most views on different platforms because all these platforms act differently. Some of them favor certain things more. And yeah, I can just help you with all of that side of things and marketing it, and that's what I do.
That was probably around 45 seconds, which is an amazing elevator pitch, man. And for me, I think you really covered actually just the nature of what you need to know to get started.
Yeah.
And if we're leaving with anything, this is a call to action. What I will do in this upload is in the description. There'll be Daniel's channels, my channels. You can see what's going on. Everything that's mentioned, we mentioned New Money. I'll link you to. The only thing to do is link them to Hassan's Mr. Overpay group on Telegram. Telegram is a popping place to be. But if you are Daniel's age, if you are in a situation where, although age isn't a thing, but you're looking at Daniel as an inspiration because you're at a similar age to him, reach out to him because I'm sure that Daniel, you're in a position where you could probably do with more team members yourself
Yeah,
to
that is
expand.
true.
So, without further ado, bro, I appreciate you.
You
Cheers
too,
for
man.
showing up.
Cheers,
Cheers.
man. Wait, I have a
And
glass.
yeah, woo! And until next time, this has been Chatting with Charlie.
Right.
Peace.